Okay, Niagara Falls in the morning. Okay, that's the American side. I think that little one is the wedding veil. And of course, the horseshoe. Bada bing, bada boom. Niagara in the morning.
See if I can find some more squash for us to gather and cook with today. Now that's a pretty big squash here. Now this is one that we can use to make stuffed squash, or if you want to do a like a zucchini. The smoke, the fires are 15 or 20 miles away. However, we are having some rough air quality days due to the smoke. Hey friends, it's me, Curtis G, and welcome to this installment of From My Garden in the Backyard. The last couple of weeks has been extremely hot in Northern California, and I'm not sure if you can tell with all the smoke in the air, and it's been tough on the garden. In particular, the zucchini. My squash is just taking a beating. However, the foliage for the squash, what it does is it protects the vegetable that's growing. These big leaves protect the fruit. So I'm just going to clip some of these leaves away so you can see the vegetables underneath that foliage. And these squash are quite nice. That's my favorite size, about 2-3 inches long. They're still nice and tender and juicy, and quite sweet. And I just take my little trimmers and clip the bottom. You can trim the flower off as well, the blossom. And that's going to be good eatings. Now look at this one. This has a beautiful blossom on it. And that blossom is absolutely fabulous to batter and fry. When I worked at Balducci's in New York, that's when I first discovered fried squash blossoms. Absolutely incredible. Maybe I'll do one today too. So we're back in the kitchen with our squash, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this. Now, zucchini, this particular squash, is loaded in vitamins A, B, and C. Good source of iron as well. A couple of days ago I had a person call me and ask, how can I get more iron in my diet? Zucchini is a good way. Just cook it with the skin on. Also beets and other earthy vegetables. Okay, those are great tips. Now, if you have to buy your zucchini in the grocery store, I want you to look for ones maybe 3 to 6 inches long and maybe 1.5 or 2 in diameter. That's the perfect size. I love these small ones at home to work with because, of course I can pick my own and just work with them. After closer inspection on this blossom, I'm not sure if I want to cook these today. This one might work. However, the others are just, they've passed their peak. So let me show you a couple things you can do with squash. Come back to the kitchen. It's me, Curtis G. And I'm going to share with you right now my absolute favorite way to enjoy squash, be it zucchini or yellow squash. This is such a simple, easy way. Bring a little olive oil to the pan. That's about a tablespoon and a half there. And I'm going to heat that up as I prep my squash and onions. One of the great things, when the squash is that size, that small, you can just cook the whole thing from top to bottom. And what I like to do when it's that small is I'll just slice it lengthwise, like so, okay? It just makes for a nice, bite size, portion size. And of course you could dice it if you like. It kind of reminds me of those little, the Kirby cucumbers, When they get a little larger, I'll cut them on a slant like this right here, okay? But I do like these small ones like that. And I also will use that, even the stem is edible. Now our oil should be getting nice and hot. First thing I'm going to do is add my onions that I've just taken and sliced, little half moons there. And remember, when sauteing vegetables, is a natural caramelization that happens when you allow it to sit in that hot oil. That sugar comes out. That's what caramelization means. That nice sweet flavor. Having a tough time with my tongue today. That nice sweet flavor comes out. So outside the garden, I think I mentioned how that vegetables are sweet, and they are. You know, it's just I just love that sound when the onions start to sizzle there. What I'm going to do is get my squash ready. We'll throw that in the pan. And this takes, not that long, 3-4 minutes. You don't want to overcook the raw vegetables. That way you get the most nutrition. The closer to raw they are, the more the nutritional content that comes out. So I'm going to get a lot of flavor from the onions by doing that caramelization. Okay? Cooking is so much fun. I just wish you could smell this. Nothing like onions and vegetables cooking in a pan. Now, I want to show you this big boy, or this big squash here. I've got something I'm going to show you to do with that later too. Stick around. Now that's starting to look really good. See how the onions are starting to turn brown, and the squash, there's just a little change in the color, a little translucent in the white portion, and the green portion starts to move in. It's looking really nice. And here we're going to, just a little bit of pepper and salt. I'm just going to grind it right there. Remember though, when it comes to seasoning, once the dish is finished, you can't take it out. You can always add more. So it's always best to err on the light side of salt and pepper as opposed to overdoing it. I know in the old days, a lot of chefs would get upset if you seasoned their dish at the table. You're paying for the food. If you need a little more pepper, go for it. All right, so that's looking really good. That's 3 to 4 minutes. Going to turn that burner off. Now I don't want to transfer that oil to my serving dish, so I'm just going to take my little fry scoop and roll this to the front so that oil stays in. And I've garnished my plate with those beautiful squash blossoms. And this is just a little side dish there. So what do we cook? 2, 3 of those little bitty squash, but that's a portion we can serve that to 1, maybe 2 people. Now the same little recipe here that I've shared with you here, and of course the recipe will be in the description. Think about this with pasta, with rice. You can add some shrimp to it or chicken and just saute that up. So hey, one little method, so many more ways to serve it. Again, the recipe will be in the description. And see what else I got up my sleeve for you today. Oh, well, let's give our squash a little taste here. There's not too much salt and pepper. I got some onions and the squash there. I love this. Wow. I feel moms, dads, if you want to prepare this for the kids, starting off early, they'll love this. My boys, when they were babies, they would love their fresh veggies cooked in ways like this. Quick, simple. Bon appetit. Baby, that squash. Quiet on the set. One of our favorites is oysters Rockefeller. I'm going to share with you a recipe for making oysters Rockefeller. What I'm doing here is just simply brushing the oysters